I think over the years I've probably developed a reputation as being an optimist. I typically present magic books that I think you're going to like, so you won't often hear me talk negatively about a magic book. I try to be honest in my reviews and point out the flaws that I see, but if I'm going to invest the time and effort to produce a video about a magic book, then it's typically going to be one that I think you're going to want to buy. But I thought I'd do something different in this episode of Erudite Magic. I would take a look back at the last year, 2024, all the videos I released about specific magic books, and decide on my top 5 and bottom 5 from this year. So while every review I did was completely honest, and you can go back and watch the full review if you're interested, this will force me in a way to prioritize the books that I reviewed, and you can watch me struggle as I figure out what were my top and bottom 5 from 2024. First, a couple of ground rules on this. The book doesn't have to have been released in 2024. It just has to be that I made a dedicated video about it in 2024. Since all of these books that I'm talking about have already been reviewed, I'm going to drop a few links up into the corner so that you can quickly and easily access those if you want to see more about a particular book. Without any further ado, let's jump first into my top 5 magic books from 2024, along with the why I think they deserve that spot. At number 5 on my list of 2024 books was The Particle System by Vanishing Ink and Joshua J. Why is this book my 5th favorite book of the year? Well, because I think it makes memorized deck magic approachable for most magicians, and that is something that has been near and dear to my heart for a long time. As a longtime user of the Aronson stack, I think it's great that Josh made so much great material accessible to so many magicians. There have been a lot of discussions online about the benefits and trade-offs of Josh's system, and I completely stand by my review. I think the standard edition is a fantastic value whether or not you want a new memorized deck approach, or if you just want to find ways to use the existing knowledge and structure that you have with either Mnemonica, Aronson, or one of the other popular mem decks out there. At number 4 on my list of top books for 2024 is Switch by John Lovick. This is not a new book, but it is one that I decided that it would be fun to tackle in 2024 because I think the premise is so interesting. Unlike most other magic books where you're getting all different kinds of props and tricks across either card magic, coin magic, general magic, whatever it is, Switch focuses in on one topic and addresses it very specifically and thoroughly. That is, turning a dollar bill or a dollar bill sized piece of paper into something else. Typically, we see it as a $1 to $100 bill or some other higher denomination bill. The author shares an encyclopedic knowledge of the subject with the reader, and you're bound to find a version that will work for you, whether you are interested in sleight of hand, using gimmicks, having several different changes, stage, parlor, close-up. It doesn't matter, the author has you covered, and I think that this is one of the most powerful pieces of magic you can carry around with you and demonstrate almost anytime, any place. Number 3 on my list is The Nth Degree by John Guastafaro. We all loved 1 Degree when it first came out because of how exciting and practical the material is. Although not everything is cards, it's pretty card heavy, and if you're the type of performer who enjoys walk-around style material, I think that most of this hits really hard and is well within the range of the amateur magician. You don't have to be a knuckle-busting sleight of hand practitioner to enjoy using some of these magic tricks with your friends, coworkers, or even professional situations. Along the way, John shares with us a lot of his philosophy about magic, marketing, and other thoughts that are important to your development as a magician. Number 2 was a reprint. This is not a new book for 2024, but it is one that has been out of print for a long time, finally came back, and I did a review on it earlier this year. The author is best known for one specific magic trick, Out of This World, which is why the book is called Worlds Beyond by Paul Curry. As my review points out, Paul Curry was not just a one-trick pony. He had a lot of other great thinking that he might not be as well known for, but is certainly just as powerful as Out of This World. I really enjoyed reading through this book after purchasing the reprint, and whether you're into card magic or mentalism, I think there's a little bit of something for everyone in this one. I know I learned a few things, and I hope you will too. Number 1 on my list of favorite books for 2024 was the Definitive Sankey reprint. It's hard to believe that it's been almost a year since these came back into print, but if you've been into magic books for any period longer than a few years, you know how sought after these were after they went out of print. It's not everything that Jay Sankey has ever created, because probably not everything was worth reprinting. However, it is a huge selection of all different kinds of material from the fertile mind of Jay Sankey. The nice part is the books are super well laid out, well taught. Joshua J. and Andy Gladwin, who co-wrote the book, not only included a list of their favorite tricks, but they also solicited the favorite Jay Sankey tricks from a host of other magicians so that you can find material that other pros are using. Each trick has a difficulty rating, and it's well categorized across all of the different types of magic that Jay Sankey has created in his illustrious career. They aren't cheap, but I think for what you're getting, it's probably a bargain. Speaking of bargains in magic books, this episode is brought to you by Don's Magic and Books. Don has a lot of great deals on his website, whether it's a new book that you're looking for or something that's gently used or even potentially out of print. In fact, that's what I hear most from people who are shopping with Don, is that they're able to find books that they can't find anywhere else. Don is always working to acquire older collections from magicians who no longer need those books and repurpose them into a new library to keep that magic information circulating for as long as possible. Since he's always getting new things in, you'll want to check his website early and often, and I'll drop a link down in the description below so that you can do that. You'll very quickly qualify for free shipping in the United States, so I don't know what you're waiting for. Head over to his website and shop with Don's Magic and Books this week. Now, before I get into these bottom 5 books from 2024, I want to make sure it's clear that I hold nothing against these, and this does not mean that I don't like these books. And even though I reviewed a ton of great books this year, I thought it was important to prioritize them or at least rank them in the order that I would choose them. Your mileage may vary, but I will explain why I put each of them where I did. Okay, at number 5 on this list is Christian Bischoff's Diamonds of Performance. This is a 2-volume set that's primarily covering applied theory, how to improve your performances. And as I pointed out in my review, I think this set of books is probably a logical next step after you've read something like Ken Weber's Maximum Entertainment. So why is this set of books on my list of least favorite? Simply because it's mostly applied theory, so it's not quite as exciting to read as maybe a book filled with tricks. Now, the author does teach you some of his own pet routines from his own personal working repertoire, but that's a very, very small portion of these 2 books, and they're not inexpensive. So this is really only for magicians who are serious about improving their craft. Still a good read, but someone had to take the 5th least favorite. At number 4 on my list of least favorite for 2024 was Magic Between Friends by Ozzie Wind and John Graham. Now, both of them are friends of mine, and I love their work. That said, this is a pretty small book of tricks, and the price was relatively high for what the size and content was. And specifically, if you already have a good library, perhaps you have John's Stage by Stage, or you've purchased Ozzie Wind's Repertoire 2 this year, some of the material published in this smaller booklet becomes redundant. Now, the tricks in there are good. There's nothing wrong with them. I just thought that this book was one of the more expensive books that I reviewed this year relative to what you got. At number 3 on my list of least favorite magic books for 2024, I have what could surprise some. It's The Magic of Johnny Thompson. And it basically falls to this position in the list for a similar reason to the last book that I just mentioned, and that is the price to value ratio. That's not everything in a magic book, as I addressed in my Repertoire 2 review. However, with this one, I think I built this up higher in my mind than what the actual books could provide. I still think that it is a top-notch set of magic books. There's a lot of great material. I enjoyed learning from Johnny Thompson's process. I just don't think that it had as much of his thinking as I would have enjoyed, and most of his material I'm probably not going to perform. There are probably dozens of magicians who are ready to fight me over this one, and if that's the case, feel free to drop a comment down below with what some of your favorite or least favorite books from the year were. Number 2 on this list was A Floor and Spun by Hector Chadwick. This was a very interesting niche book on basically how to affect the outcome of a flip or a spin of a coin. If you learn how to do what he teaches in this book, then absolutely you're going to have an advantage in all kinds of games of chance, hopefully for entertainment purposes. However, I never personally put the work into learning it. The work to value ratio wasn't there for me. It's not something that I see myself using in any of my current routines, and I'm not sure that I would ever be able to put the work into it to make it look good and feel comfortable with presenting it to a paying audience. Certainly there's room for books like this if you want to learn interesting techniques and you want to try to push yourself with what's possible with sleight of hand and no gimmicks. And while there's value in the book, it really just didn't speak to me. And number 1 on my list of least favorite books from 2024 was You Are All Terrible by Harrison Greenbaum. I'll remind you, as I said earlier, I still got value from almost every book that I read this year, and this book is no exception. I think there were a lot of interesting anecdotes and tips to help you improve, to become a funnier, more original, better magician. However, the book was quite profane in ways that made me laugh at times, and even though it is practical, At the end of the day, if you're not already a little bit funny, I'm not sure that this book is going to help you become funny. It will help you become more original, and you'll probably laugh at some of the anecdotes and comments that he has in it. That about does it for my list of books that I liked and didn't like from 2024. But if you want to know books that I think you really should have on your shelf, regardless of what type of magician you are, then check out the 5-Foot Shelf of Magic series that I redid this past year for you. As always, my friend, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, keep reading.